Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'd like to share with you the stand I built for my Hasbro Darth Vader reveal helmet. I'll share some thoughts on the helmet as it pertains to the stand in this particular build, but I won't be commenting on or comparing this helmet to others on the market today. All right. That said, personally, I think the best way to display this helmet is in the exploded or revealed state that you can see here. I've captured many more details on a build blog on the RPF, so I'll provide that link in the description below. And so in case I've missed anything here, please check it out there. All right. So that being said, there are really quite a few good references from other builders on the various stands that are out there. So I drew some inspiration from those, but I really wanted to create my own version of a stand. So my plan with this particular build was to have a very simple, very discreet, that also gave me some flexibility during the build process. So I can make adjustments and I'm really not too locked in to certain length or certain angles. That being said, let me start taking the various pieces off so you can see how the stand really looks. Okay, so here's how the stand looks, but what I did to start was I actually used some standard white PVC that you can find at any big box home improvement center. And I use this for mock-up purposes because I had spare bits and pieces and they're relatively cheap. So I use this to establish the initial cut lines and angles and how the design I wanted it to look. But for the final product, I chose something with a nicer finish. So that's what you see here. The differences, I think, become much more obvious when you see them side by side. So the black one here, you could see some of these differences. The edges are beveled. The finish is this nice, glossy, smooth look to it. You don't have all of the different markings that you see on the standard PVC pipe. And then you'll see there, right, there's none of this mold marks. And then overall, it's just a much slimmer look to it. And plus, the nice thing about this is I don't need a paint, right? It comes standard in this color. And so that avoids some of the rubbing or flaking issues. If you start painting a PVC and you want to make some changes, they'll start, getting really ugly looking, I think, in my mind. So, but anyway, this PVC pipe is from a company called Formufit, and conveniently, this is available online at Home Depot. And so the nice thing is you can order online, you have it delivered to my local Home Depot for free, and I was just simply able to pick it up there. So here are some of the pieces. Here's a T-joint, here's the standard pipe, and you can see how precise the cuts are, very easy to assemble. You have a 45-degree elbow. You have a connector sleeve, which I'll mention a little bit later. And then you have an end cap. And this is one of the biggest differences because when you compare that to one of the standard Schedule 40 PVC end caps, you have this rounded look. And this actually is a pivotal part of this particular design as it relates to some of the other pieces here. So we'll get started and move on to the next part. So I'll go ahead and start disassembling this, and just so that you can see, I just have it on a Lazy Susan just for this video purpose. That's not part of the normal display that I have here. So everything is just press fit together. Everything just comes apart pretty easily. All right, so for the base, this basically just started off as a sheet of MDF that I cut down to 12 inches by 18 inches in length. As you all know, not much sanding is needed on the flat surfaces, but the edges required a little bit of attention. So wood filler, some filler primer, and then I sanded everything smooth. For this particular mount, I started with, well, I drilled a hole using a Forstner bit, drilled it probably about halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way into the board. I cut down one of these connector sleeves because the walls are thicker and they have much more uniform diameter than one of these end caps. So you can see that, right? Much thicker, right? So I felt that this was a good option for a base. So cut that in half and then was able to secure it into the hole using some JB weld. All right, and then moving on to the platforms. So for the 3 platforms here, you see they basically all started off as 1/4 inch, 6-inch circular hobby board. And that was left over from another project that I had. So let's see, this piece here, which is for the jaw of the helmet, is unique because what I did here is, if you saw me as I disassembled it, the pipe goes through the center and I wanted it this way so then I can mount the actual helmet piece in a particular way. So the way I wanted this to be designed is that you can see here, it fits just on the inside of this jaw piece. So really pretty straightforward, but I just had to trim down the piece so that it fit underneath there. And then for this particular mount, I simply took one of the end caps and I just cut off the flat portion, the closed portion with a Dremel cutoff wheel. So I was left with a sleeve, and then that was simply adhered to this platform using some JB weld. I was careful to only include or apply the adhesive to the edges and not to get anything on in the inner diameter there, so it wouldn't interfere with the pipe itself. And then with this approach, you can see when I disassembled it, it was just friction fit, and then I'm able to kind of set the height as needed based off how the orientation, my preference was in terms of how all of the pieces fit together. And then for these two, which this was for the mask piece, and then this is for the helmet. Both of these I approached similarly. I took the 6-inch round hobby board and turned it to 5 inches in diameter for the mask. This one is 4 inches for the helmet. And same thing, I used the end cap for these two particular mounts. This time I did not cut off anything. You can see it just pretty straightforward there. I did cut a hole in there just to allow some of the JB weld to flow if needed. And then afterwards, these you can see they're offset because of the angle that I was playing with with the different pieces of the helmet. So that was one nice thing that you can have some flexibility with. All right. So then once the JB Weld dried, I applied another layer around the edges, and then I followed that up with some spackle and wood filler to give it a nice smooth look. And then you can also see here, I use some popsicle sticks to give the platforms a little bit of rigidity. And then everything was finished with some primer, Krylon Satin Black, and some Krylon Clear Coat. For the base, very simple here. You can see this is the primer color, and I just added some feet, some little silicone feet to the bottom. One thing to note here, the reason I have this foam piece was when during the final assembly, the mask was tilted a little bit more this way, so I needed to bring it back in line. So this just happened to be some old padding from a bicycle helmet that were left over, so I used that, and it put everything perfectly in line. And then the final piece you might have noticed is this. So this started off as a mountain bike LED light housing, and I thought it had a nice, interesting look. So what I ended up doing was there were some threads on this end. I cut that off using a Dremel, and then I opened up this hole so that it would fit into the PVC pipe. And this basically just gives, dresses up the stand, I think, a little bit better. All right, so from a final assembly perspective, so let me show you how this all goes together. Oh, just one thing to note, all of the lengths of these pipes is in my build log, so you can use that as a reference if you're looking to build something similar to this. All right, this is pretty simple, so this just sits right over here. The platform piece, I basically just slide right in. And it's just purely a nice friction fit. That just slides right on. And then the way I have this positioned is that this will sit right on top of the LED light housing. This piece just goes right on top, and then this piece goes right on the very top here. There you go. So there you have it. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple build. Didn't cost a whole lot of money. Obviously, this PVC pipe costs more than this standard PVC pipe, but if you're looking for something on a little bit more of a budget, you could always use this and then just paint it black. And 90% of the stand you're not going to see once all the parts are on here. So there you have it. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you're looking to build one yourself, be sure to check out the RPF Build Log where I have many more details and photos. Thanks for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.